Welcome back. You're watching Brand Equity, and I'm Sonali Krishna. Now, for those of you who haven't heard of the Sistas, Sistas was one of India's leading advertising agencies in the 1960s and 70s. Bobby Sista, who is an advertising legend, was responsible for the agency making waves in the then advertising world. Bobby Sista has been rightfully bestowed the Lifetime Achievement Award by the AAA. I caught up with this advertising legend to talk about his journey in advertising that spanned for over half a century and that began 3 years after independence. Listen in to this rather heartwarming and nostalgic conversation. Thank you so much for joining us, Bobby Sista. This is truly an honor, and many congratulations on, you being, nominated to get the Lifetime Achievement Award. I think much overdue.
Thank you. I don't know about being overdue or otherwise. I feel very honored about being recognized. I never realized that it was such a big thing to do, because whatever I did throughout my life and career, I did it as it came to me naturally. I didn't think I was doing anything great. So at the end of it all, to find that, okay, people find that I've done something or my achievements have been noteworthy, it's very nice to know.
But Bobby, today, for the benefit of my viewers and of course myself and my generation, when we were not fortunate enough to see you in action, right? In the good old days when advertising was, in its fledgling stages, you've spent almost half a century in advertising. I really want you to jog your memory and go back in time and, tell me about how you got into advertising or how you stumbled upon it. I know that your father was already in this space.
As you probably know, he was the one who founded Sistas. It was called Sistas Sales and Publicity Service, and that was founded in 1934.
Okay.
But in fact, that was the official year. But in fact, he started the agency in 1931, which was the year I was born.
Right. So you decided to join him. It was
right from my childhood.
Sure.
There was no question that I would do anything else but advertising.
Okay.
Because that was in the family.
Sure.
My uncle was also in advertising.
Sure.
So there was no question.
There was no question.
Looking at any other profession.
Sure. So tell me, 1950 is when you graduated, right?
Yeah.
And you started working.
Yeah.
And in 1951, I believe, life became very tragic because, your father died unexpectedly, unfortunately, because of an air crash.
Yeah.
Tell me how life panned out post that.
Well, it was very traumatic for us. I mean, as a child, suddenly losing your father. But what happened was that before that, he died in November 1951. Mm-hmm. And before that, he went to England for an international conference where he was one of the speakers from the Asian continent. And my sister and I went with him to the same international conference, because this was the first time an international advertising conference had the concept of a youth delegate.
Okay.
And after the conference, he got us a job in an advertising agency.
In where? There?
In London.
In London, okay.
Yeah.
I believe 1953, when you set foot in India again, it was probably one of the worst phases of your life, one that you were coming back home and coming back to an agency that you're so used to seeing your father run, his absence, and be dealing with a man, I believe, who at that point in time in control was Mr. Prem Narayanan, who was technically then boss, and you had to work under his regime for a while. Take me through that period of working with Mr. Prem Narayanan's regime, and what kind of a toll it took on you, and why was it one of the worst phases of your life?
We landed around the end of October 53. We were landing towards the end of October, and literally the day before we landed, Mr. Prem Narayan got himself a 15-year managing director's agreement passed by all the directors of the company. Of the directors, mind you, 3 of them were friends of my father's who were put there by Mr. Dharam Se cut out to look after the family interests. These very 3 directors signed the 15-year agreement for Mr. Prem Narayan because he naturally, from his point of view, if you look at it, since now the children are coming back, they will want to obviously take over and I will lose a job. How can I, where's my security?
But what about the directors who were technically supposed to be friends of the family? They backstabbed you as well.
Well, in a way, yes. But the first shock we got again there was that Mr. Prem Narayan, and I'm going into actual figures and details, said that, listen, the company is doing very badly. I'm afraid financially we are doing really badly and I cannot afford more than 600 rupees as your salary. Oh, what a great period that was. To quickly dismiss the sad part of it, it was really one of the most horrible, demoralizing times of my career and life, personally as well as professionally. And it was some kind of a God-given resilience within me that managed to stand that part of it.
Tell me about, advertising in those days. I mean, how was it? Because none of us were privy to it. And my generation definitely, I don't think my viewers either, remember advertising in the good old days.
Yeah, see, Sonali, those were times, even going back to before the 70s, I'm talking about the 40s, the 50s and 40s, advertising was what just a sort of a game. It was a game for the creative people. There was no accountability.
Yeah.
There was no accountability. Why? Because there was no competition among products or clients.
Yeah.
And as a result, the creative people had a great time.
Sure.
They could do what they liked. They could produce as wacky an advertisement as they wanted.
Sure.
And they really enjoyed themselves.
When you see your surrounding today, right? And today the competition is at its peak. Do you think advertising has actually evolved in terms of its creative body, or do you think advertising as it stands today has actually regressed from the days that you saw advertising?
Frankly, I will start off by saying that I am unable to relate to today's advertising.
Okay.
But having said that, I keep saying to myself, but I'm not sitting in judgment.
Okay.
Because the way I look at it is, and I know the costs are now gone up, through the roof. I mean, I'm told that one commercial costs 50 crores. Now, I say to myself, however idiotic that commercial seems to me to be, if a client is spending 50 crores on that spot, if an agency has put their neck on the line to create that spot, to be able to sell the product or service that they're advertising, obviously, it must be working. And why is it working? Because the consumer has also changed and is able to, and all along, in any case, all of us said advertising reflects the mores of society. So obviously today's advertising is reflecting the mores of today's society.
So on that note, Bobby, at 84, I find you in the pink of health, still, extremely sharp. This was truly, my pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence on Brand Equity, and many, many congratulations, for, getting the Lifetime Achievement Award.
Thank you.
And with that, we come to the end of this edition of Brand Equity. We hope you enjoyed the show. To take the time and drop us a line at brandequity@etnow.tv, or alternatively, log on to our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/brandequity. To dip into our archives or simply start a conversation with us. You could do the same on Twitter at Brand Equity Live. I'll see you next week, same time, same place. Until then, ciao, ciao.